Welcome back to a reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I record a chapter from one of my books, one of my stories, and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. And if you're looking to support me, that's on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 6 of Feeling the Way. The negotiation stretched into the evening and involved a few calls to The negotiation stretched into the evening and involved a handful of calls to one or another of my fathers. Really? No comma? Okay. You might think that my empathy makes me ill-suited to negotiate. All the other guy needs is a sub-story and I'll crack. But something interesting happens when I'm negotiating with the representative of a group versus dealing a person alone. I can stop caring. I don't turn into my fathers, but I can step back. See that what the representative says, wants, needs is different from what's good for the group, even if I might not know what the group needs. It allows me to take what I perceive and use it to my advantage. And I could decimate the other guy if I wanted to, if I was just a little bit more like my fathers. By the end, we reached an agreement. My family would support the Carbonneaux officially making Quebec theirs, including showing up to make sure the others respected their decision if needed. In exchange for In exchange, we get a stake in a handful of businesses. I'm not going into details here because you don't need to know. Then came the official closing of the negotiation before moving on to enjoying the family's hospitality over and over and over. Okay, I want to check something in the previous chapter. When I described the office, lounge and bedroom. Okay, all right. I think I can just, because while this is never going to be explicit, if I can control it, I do want to make it sure the reader knows sex is happening. Then came the use bed for the official closing of the Then came the use of the bed for the official closing of the negotiation. Before moving on to enjoying their family's hospitality over and over and over. I could have stayed longer. The Carbonneaux have a lot of hospitality to enjoy, but after lunch, I hit the road. Having come to Quebec from the south, I decided to leave on the west. So I went down Highway 20 and took that all the way to Ontario, except for the detour to avoid Montreal again. I needed to stop as I hit the provincial line due to an inspection booth. This is new, I told the officer once I took off my helmet. There were only, this is where I switched to present when I should not. There were only 3 booths with a building on the side of the road. He looked at my bike. We've been here for 7 years, ever since Quebec set up theirs identification. I looked back, and on the east side of the highway, on the Quebec side of the dividing line, there was another set of booths. Are things that bad? I handed him my driver's license. He shrugged. No idea. So what are you looking for? I decided to go with my rule of not trying to be funny. This couldn't be federal. So I doubted they could make my life difficult, but why risk it? Illegal drugs, illegal weapons, undesirable people, he answered, while looking at the screen in his booth. How long were you in Quebec? A few days. He glanced at me, displeased at the vagueness of my answer. I gave him a polite smile. I saw no signs indicating they had legal power, so he could suck it up. I figured the best he could do was bar me from entering the province. What were you doing in Quebec? Visiting Quebec City, I answered. Then, because I just couldn't stop myself, enjoying the guys. Another annoyed glance my way, more because he could tell I wasn't taking him seriously than my answer itself. I knew I'd pushed too far before his face hardened. He motioned to the building. Go park there, and the officer will see to you. How much trouble were they going to cause me? My license was in view, so it'd be easy for me to grab it, turn my bike around, and jump the divider. I doubt the Quebec side would have a problem with me doing that, but they might. I wasn't a precog, and without being around whoever I deal with, I couldn't. I couldn't get a sense of how they'd act. So I walked my bike to the parking spot and waited. It took It took a minute before Slim Beaver and an OPP, that's Ontario Provincial Police, they're the equivalent of the state troopers, headed in my direction. That was their first mistake, sending a man to do this. Now I knew I'd I'd be getting out of whatever they might pull. I might have to play this nasty, but this nice officer would let me go by the time I was done. The second mistake wasn't one they could have seen coming. It was the way the beaver looked me over as he approached. This officer of the law had a thing for bad boys, and my build in my bike leather next to my bike in the winter screamed bad boy pretty loud. I looked him over. Not hiding my predatory smile. I have no problem ratcheting up the bad boy image if it's going to help me get out of this. Okay, this is still in the past. I had no problem ratcheting it up the bad boy image if it was going to help me get out of this. Please stand over there, he said, indicating a bench 20 feet away. Are any of the cases locked? So, more rules for dealing with law representative. Always do what they say. Don't argue. Do not get close to them. Do not touch them. It's their job to consider you a threat. And many of them, okay, in the US more than Canada, find it easy to accidentally flip their guns to bullets. In short, don't do what I'm about to do. I smiled and stepped to him. If they are you going to force me to unlock them for you? He hesitated before taking a step back. Sir, his hand moving to the butt of his gun, I need you to step back. Don't you need me to unlock the cases? I looked him over again. I made I made sure he saw me doing it. When I lock ties, with him again, I licked my lips. If I tell you where my toys are, you promise to let me use them on you? I don't have toys. Who needs toys when they have me? His exterior remained professional, but I keep switching. But I could see the desire in his eyes. I am a bad influence. Okay, this is going to be a different because this is a commentary. I am a bad influence on men. My entire family is. Our magic lets us turn men into quivering sack of needs. If we get our hooks into one, we can get him to do anything we want just for the privilege of getting in bed with us, if they can even wait to reach our bed. If it sounds like a bad thing, you're right. I might have mentioned before that my family are not nice people on the whole. My fathers are trying to be better, but they are the first generation to even consider it. Everyone before them happily took advantage of any man they wanted. My brothers have no issues doing it either, although they try to stick to gay guys. I avoid using it as much as possible. The few times I have, it was to get myself out of situation. I couldn't find another way to get out. Okay. The few times I did, it was to get myself out of situations. That's going to be plural. Situations I couldn't find other ways to get out of. It was to get myself out of situations I couldn't find other ways to get out of. And this one guy who insisted he could resist me. He lasted 20 minutes, which all things considered was impressive. I wasn't going to have to do that here, to go that far here. I handed my phone over when he asked for it and stayed by him as he looked my bike over, running a hand on his back or side any chance I got. At any actual border crossing, I'd have been tased at the start of all this. I saw his disappointment when he was done looking through my baggage and didn't find any toys. It turned into an... Okay, his disappointment when he was done looking through my baggage and didn't find any toys turned into annoyance. That's a little clearer. He slammed the last case shut. Come with me, he ordered. He took me to a small integration room, closed the door, and turned on me. The expression of a man who was going to rip me apart. It didn't last. The building was hastily put up, and the room only had one camera in the corner next to the door, which meant it had this blind spot that couldn't be seen from either the camera nor the small window in the door. I had him in that corner, pants open, me on my knees, and right, I'm keeping this clean-ish. Let's say that he interrogated me for close to an hour. During that time, he did most of the talking, and let me tell you, he has a dirty mouth and gets needy after the first time. By the time he let me go, I had his number, his addresses, the code to his place, and a place to spend the night. I drove directly there, and he joined me after his shift. By the time I was done with him the next morning, he had to call in sick because there was no way he was getting out of bed. His mouth never got any cleaner. And that concludes chapter 6 of Feeling the Way. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to read the rest of the story, that's on my Patreon. This is not published. This will probably not never be published. Um, so yeah, and you can, by supporting me there, you can have access to basically everything else I've written. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. Links are in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.